This is heaven on earth. Here at the J Winery. You know, just had the best tour guide I've ever had.
These barrels are called neutral vessels. Neutral meaning they have been used over and over and over and over again. Every time you use a barrel, big old general ballpark here, lots of flexibility, but for conversation, when you use a barrel, you lose about 75% of the wood effect out of the barrel into the wine. Next time you use it, and of course you use them again, you only got a quarter, which you started with, you lose 75% of that. And next time you use it, you lose 75% of that. And it goes on down. So these babies have been used dozens of times, and there just ain't no wood left in the wood. So, and that's what you want for Pinot Gris. It is a light, easy drinking, food-friendly wine. It's really a cool wine. And this is a rocket. This is a rocket here. We aged this in these barrels for about 2 or 3 months, less than 3 months by far. And then we bottle it. We hang on to the bottle after it's bottled for about a month, and bam, out to market it goes. I call it Chateau Cash Flow. Baby brings home the bucks. And it's not shortcuts, it's not rounding corners or pushing it out to market. These are the time frames it needs to show itself well. I mean, that's what this grape is all about. And the fact that it's got no oak means that it's going to go very well with food, not stomp on the food. And it's a pretty neat wine. Outside this building, there is another building. A couple of you down here can see it. It's not really important. Great big honking building, bigger than this one, where we have our Pinot Noir in regular size, 55-gallon drum, 55-gallon barrels. And it's really good. We divide our Pinot Noir into thirds. We have 3 different Pinots, but all the numbers are pretty much the same. About 15 months in French oak, all French oak. And we use 1/3 of it, put 1/3 of the wine into brand new barrels, 1/3 into once used, 1/3 into twice used barrels. So when it all gets blended back together, it's not overly oaked. Keeping the oak to a minimum makes it food friendly. You see that quick word? That's the yeast in there, which we gotta get down to flat down the bottom. Okay, we're going to talk about how that's done right now, but I wanted to show you what it looks like and how much there is. When it gets completely down to the bottom, as it has to be, it's only going to be about that deep. It's really, really very shallow. So this is a very cool deal. And these racks are what they used a long time ago to help that happen. I'll tell you about these things. They're pretty cool. This rack was invented by the widow Clicquot, whose name is whapped on a little bottle of bubbly. You know, I call her the second most important person in Champagne after the guy I was just talking about. But she inherited, she's 27 years old. Man, she was butt ugly too, but she was widowed and had a big champagne company, and she gets a sales guy who goes out and gets for an account all of Russia. Russians, if you guys know Russians, they drink after vodka. Champagne is right in there, baby. They love that stuff. So she got some production problems coming up. The woman's sitting, story goes, and it could be one of those like Brother Timothy stories, but I'll tell it to you anyway. Sitting at her table in her big mansion, drumming her fingers, going, how am I going to do that? Picks up, and you see this woman, she can do it, picks up her dining room table, takes it down to her cellar, leans it against the wall and drills holes in the table and puts bottles in there to help with the production. It used to be you leaned them up just upside down and let them sit for a while and the sediment came down. She put the bottles in these racks, and here's the process. I don't know how long it took to develop it to the art that it was eventually, but they're called riddling racks, and a guy called a riddler would come along and grab these bottles 2 at a time, pull them out a short ways, give them a quarter turn, and a little bump back in. Grab them next 2, pull them out, quarter turn, boom. And these guys would go so crazy fast. This whole rack filled all the way down. I want you to check out the bottom row too. All the way down the bottom would be 2 to 3 seconds. I mean, it would sound like a slow machine gun. Boom, the rack is done. And think about this, bottom row, you're doing squats. You're going all the way down, like this. While your hands are doing this, going all the way down, go to the next one. I mean, you torque to it 30 to 50,000 50,000 bottles in a day. 30 to 50,000 bottles in a day, depending on what their assignment was. Those guys would just fly. Last summer, not this year, but last year, they probably did it again. I haven't caught the news yet, but they have a little riddling competition, the Champagne houses in Champagne region. The champion riddler over there did 6,900 bottles in 1 hour. 6,900 bottles in an hour. Tore it up. I mean, it was just crazy. But that was done to get that sediment, because it was, I'm so going to screw this up and get my butt chewed. They would lay like this, and by the way, this is really important with that process that I was telling you about. You put the yeast and sugar in a bottle, you let the yeast, you keep the bottles horizontal, so you let the yeast make a rib of yeast cells all along the bottle, because that gets you the most exposure of yeast here. If it was tilted in any way, you would have a collection of yeast at one end of the bottle or the other, not as much exposure, so as much contact of yeast to liquid you get. So they leave it horizontal with that rib, and then you got to get it up. So they put them in racks like this, get it down to the neck. But we don't do that anymore. Come on this way, we'll show you right here. Is how we age the bottles now. We put them in cubes like these, and we've got a couple miles from here, a big honking warehouse where we do the 3 years that these bottles go for. So they lay just like that again, horizontal, with the yeast in them. And then my man right here, Tracy's going to take these bottles with his forklift, take the whole cube, and put them into these racks right here. Now these babies start out horizontal, and he slides them right in there. Here's what happens here. 2 things happen. Every 2 hours, these babies turn a quarter turn, and
every 2 hours.
Every 2 hours, total computer control. 2-hour turn, and they tip up just a little teeny bit. 2 hours later, another turn, tip up a little bit more. These guys here you're looking at, I'm terrible at guessing this, but I'm going to say a couple days under their belt right now, probably. So they would go like that. In about a week and a half, they go from horizontal, do bombs, every 2 hours, turn, to vertical. Bam. Sediment is down. What's going to happen, you guys? They're going to take that cube that's got the sediment, the bottle with the sediment down to the neck, and wheel it back here. You can see one halfway done, back sitting right here. And what we're going to do to get the sediment out, here's the bottom line, right off the get-go, is we're going to freeze the neck of the bottle. And how we're going to do that is put the bottle's neck down into this table. You can see down here close to us, there's holes in the table. They can put the bottles into those holes, and they're going to go in, the neck is going to go into a trough of ethylene glycol. Now this is 22 degrees below zero. Okay, it's going to go down in about 2 inches, and the rest of the bottle stays out of the liquid. So this much is in there, and it's going to freeze solid. Now the sediment is right.
I like the sediment too. I know a lot of people don't, but Jeff Goldblum's one of my favorite actors. I like all the movies. Second movie was